I am really enjoying my tank. I can just sit here and look at it for hours. It's so relaxing. I think Sparky finds it relaxing too. You know, I don't even mind doing the maintenance. I actually find it therapeutic. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, but under the sump here, I've got so many wires and it's just not organized. I know it's a safety issue, but it got me thinking, what other things should I be concerned about as far as safety goes? I think I better give Mr. Saltwater Tank a call. I have a auto shut off on my RODI unit, if any, so it can't really leak, but I don't have like any detector down here. So what do I need for like safety?
Hold the thought about the detector part. Let's talk about things to do first, which the first thing is a drip loop. You know what a drip loop is, Jimmy?
What'd you say, a drip loop?
Do you know what a drip loop is?
Well, I assume you're going to tell me now because I don't have an answer.
This little thing is the plug that goes into the outlet.
A drip loop. I'm thinking like some piece of equipment. What you mean is so that the water doesn't go back up into the outlet. Okay, a drip loop. Of course, I don't have one. Everything's just sitting on the bottom in my sump. I know better, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. You plug this into the wall. Let's say it's like this up here. Water comes down because it's spilled, or heaven forbid it leaked. Water comes down, follows this line down, whoop, and can get into the outlet. When you put a drip loop in it, it creates a low point like this. So if water comes down, it goes to the bottom part of the loop and it drips off, or it collects there and it doesn't get a chance to go up into the outlet. Simple gravity fed, which by the way, gravity never fails, so it will work every time if you set it up right. So besides putting a drip loop in it, it's good to mount these things. If you're going to put them under your stand like you are, Jimmy, I like to put them upside down. That way the plugs go in it like this. If you splash something, it could go up in here, but a lot less chance of that happening than if it's on the ground, holes are exposed, waiting for water to run into them. If I'm going to mount them in a vertical position, I try to put them away from any water around your tank.
I feel kind of silly right now because, I mean, look at that. It's like everything's just laying on the ground, all plugged in.
No, I mean, look, I get like, you're excited, you get your tank set up, and you're like, oh yeah, power brick, like I'll just set this down here, plug it in, I want to hook up my lights and my pumps, make sure it works, and you're like, oh, I'll get to that later.
Well, I keep thinking, well, I'm going to add a pump here. Well, my heater's here, or I need to, you know, I keep thinking, well, I'm going to do it with this next thing. And that's why I never do it. So everything's just plugged in down there. So like, you know, in my bathroom, all my outlets are like ground fault with the test button on them because they're around water. I don't have that here.
Yeah, GFCI, GFI, I love them and I hate them. And whenever I have them around a fish tank, I take them off. And at this point, the electricians or the engineers watching this are like, go! Like the alarm is going off. Here's why. I have found that variable speed pumps trip GFCIs. Even the nice ones, even the new ones, a pump will ramp up or ramp down and it'll trip the GFCI. And if there's things and other important things plugged into that GFCI, like your return pump or your controller or lights or whatever, the GFCI cuts off, then the pump goes off, maybe your return pump goes off, that's a problem. So to me, the footnote is here, if you have a pacemaker, this doesn't apply to you, but I've been shocked by 110 volts. It's like, oh, it wakes you up, you recoil from it, but it's not bad. So I would personally rather get a little shock than have the GFCI trip for no apparent reason when I'm probably not there.
So you heard it here, folks. Mr. Saltwater Tank doesn't mind getting shocked.
I'd rather get shocked than have them cut off and cause a problem in my tank.
Like what you said about, I don't want my return pump, you know, kicking the whole thing off. That'd be bad. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we addressed the electrical safety issues, but how about someone on YouTube had mentioned that corals can be toxic? Do I need to be worried about something toxic in there?
Potentially. And you're what, about 54, 55, Jimmy?
I am.
So this should strike some fear in your heart.
I actually have to make that appointment soon.
Your question about coral safety. Certain types of corals, zoanthids, pallies, they contain a toxin that, if it comes in contact with your eyes or you breathe in the fumes, it can be a problem. The good thing is it's very easy to mitigate this risk. First of all, when you're working around your tank, especially if you're working around zoanthids or pallies, wear gloves on both hands. This way, if any of those toxins get on your hands, when you take the glove off, they're gone. And then to be safe, you then wash your hands after you're done working with those corals. It's also a good idea to wear safety glasses, because if you happen to cut one of those corals or it gets abraded against a rock because you're moving something around, it can squirt, it can get into your eyes, and that's when it gets into your circulation. It doesn't happen often. Usually what you hear about is someone who took out live rock out of their tank and they decided they want to get rid of the zoas or the pallies, or they got it from someone else and they don't know what even those things are, and they scrub it off underwater, or they do something really dumb like boil it or put it in their oven. People are laughing, but this actually happens. Then those toxins get put up into the air, they get inhaled, or they get into mucous membranes, and then they get into your circular system, and that's a problem. So if you're working around your tank, especially if you're working around zoanthids and pallies, it's a good idea to wear gloves, good idea to wear eye protection. Simple step to help prevent you getting that toxin. And look, it takes some effort for you to get it, but just be safe, wear those two things, you'll be good to go. With that, your exam's complete, Mr. Strader.
Do you actually know anybody who's ever got those toxins in their eyes? Do you know of any? Do you personally know anybody?
I don't personally know of anyone, but you hear about it every couple of weeks online, and then you'll hear these news stories about like fish tank makes someone sick, and it's like, you know, these fear headlines. And it's always a story about someone cooking rock, boiling rock, scrubbing things. They don't know what they're working with, or they didn't take the precautions. It's very easily managed. Doesn't hurt to be safe rather than be sorry.
So what did you say, zoes and pallies?
Zoanthids and pallies.
Do I have any of those in there?
Not yet. We're gonna get you some though, because they're a great starter coral.